Hi everyone, welcome to Quilt Club Week. We are so excited for this week out of the whole year of 52 weeks to get here. This is a jam-packed week full of fun and excitement and knowledge and skills and just being in our sewing room and hanging out with people who love to do the same thing that we do. So today is our very first pre-Quilt Club Week class. So I want to show you some quilts that we have done in past Quilt Club weeks and then show you some that we're going to be doing this year. This is our 5th year to do this. We started in 2020 when, of course, COVID had hit the world and no one could go anywhere. We were losing our minds. We were losing our mojo. Everything bad that could happen was happening, and we needed something to look forward to, something that would keep our mind and our hands busy, and something that we love and enjoy. But also during 2020, a lot of people dusted off those sewing machines or even went down to some business or online to buy a sewing machine because they wanted something to do. So our Quilt Club week was so exciting and so fun, and our students loved it so much that we decided to keep it going. And it's a part of our Premium Club. It is a celebration of our Premium Club. So what we do in Quilt Club Week is that we do all kinds of fun sewing and sewing craft projects, not just quilts and not just square and a square. We learn all kinds of tips and hints, and we have all kinds of knowledge that we present to you. And I also bring in some of my most favorite people in the world, and they also happen to be great teachers, and that's Sherry and Kay and Kathy. So you get a variety of teaching, you get a variety of projects, and it is just so much fun to do. Now, the other thing that I love about an online production like this is that you get to watch it over and over again. It's not like when you leave the quilt show that day, it's gone. You know, whatever you can remember, whatever photos you took, that's it. If you took a class or a lecture, you don't get to go back and see it again. But with Quilt Club Week and with our Premium Club, with everything being online, you can go back and watch it again and again, back it up, replay it, see exactly what the teacher was saying and how they were doing it and how they were presenting it to you. So it really gives you a chance to go in and hone those skills and pick up new skills and increase your knowledge, because it's not just about making these beautiful quilts, but it's about the journey of making them and what you learn along the way. So of course we do have beautiful fabrics and we do have beautiful quilts, but it's really all about the education and the knowledge and the skills and the confidence and the excitement that you're going to get when you can produce good work. And I love, love, love getting texts and emails from you guys, and I have a couple of new ones right here. And I have 3 new ones that I printed off yesterday and today, because I think when you can see from other students what they see is of value to them, I think it helps you. And if you're new to Jody and Steve Barrows and the Square and a Square system and our Premium Club and our online teaching and our great quality fabrics, then it's great to know what other people are saying about it. So this one right here is just a real short and sweet one. She says, the best teaching program you will ever find anywhere, hands down. Such a great value for the dollar that you spend when you see how many classes are offered and what a great variety of choices you can take, and that you can take them over and over again. And I think that one of the key things that she said here is on your schedule. You get to take it when you're ready to take it. Whether you're just watching it for enjoyment, you get to sit down and watch it and do it when it's convenient for you and your mind is ready to do it. Or if you're actually going to sit down and sew and do what we're doing, then you can do it on your time. Whether it's midnight, whether you live 10,000 miles away, halfway across the earth, you get to do it when it's convenient for you. And I love that. I love, love, love that. So we're going to look at some quilts that we've done in past Quilt Club weeks, because I want you to see what's already in our teaching website. Our teaching website is squareinaSquare.com. And that's where you go to watch Premium Club, where you go to watch Quilt Club Week, where you go to watch our webinars, and you can sign up with your email and you can watch the free stuff, or you can go in and watch the classes and the products that we have that's part of our paid online subscription Quilting Club. I love that. So since we have been doing Quilt Club Week, this is now our 5th year. You have 4 years of Quilt Club Week that you get to go in and start watching right now. And people have been joining for weeks now. We have had 6 weeks of teaching and classes building up to this week of Quilt Club Week. And so there's a lot of webinars that we have done, and little mini classes, and different talking about the different quilts. So go back in and watch the past 5 that we've done on Tuesdays. Also, you can see what our sales are that are going on and all of that. Plus, we've been doing webinars and teaching online for many, many years. I know clear back in 2018, I was doing a lot of just Facebook webinars and classes. And sometimes it's hard to go back and find it in YouTube or find it in Facebook or whatever social media platform you enjoy. But when you go into the squareinaSquare.net and you see all the webinars right there, you can go in and see them all in there. And so it's easier to find them and watch them. You don't spend all your time running down rabbit holes looking for stuff. Plus, we have new capabilities on our website where you can go into the search bar. So say like you go into Quilt Club Week 2020, go to that search bar and look for something that you're looking for. Or go into Quilt Club Week 2021, go to the search bar. It will help you with 2021 if you're looking for something specific. Lots of times a text or an email will say, oh, I want to see that as the crowfly quilts. Where did you teach it? Well, we taught it in Quilt Club Week 2023. So you can go to that little area in the teaching website, go to the search bar and just put crow, or just, you know, one word. Use as few of words as possible to put in that search bar, and it will go in there and tell you if it's in there. So I love the new technology that Steve is always keeping us at the tip top on. You know, they say technology changes every 90 days. That just blows my mind. I'm not a techie girl, and so I'm just thinking, how can I stay caught up with all of it? But I got my great other half, Steve, then he does all that for me, and he's the one that makes it available to bring it to you guys so that you can enjoy it at your own sewing machine in your own home, either in solitude, if that's the way you like it, or ask a buddy or a couple of sewing buddies to come in and sew with you and participate. It's a great thing to do. So let's go over in here and let's look at these quilts, and they're kind of out of the frame a little bit, so I'm going to scoot them over and hope that everything stays where it's supposed to stay. So these are just some of the quilts that we taught last year in Quilt Club Week. So we have full teachings of quilts, but we also have little mini projects that you can whip out just really quick. I call them craft sewing projects. But these are the full quilts that we taught. This one was Lady of the Lake, and we talked about the firefly and how you can get all of these little triangles together without the hassle and the headache and the hard work on that. And this one is a kit that you can get. We've, I think in our last Tuesday webinar was when I focused more on fireflies and kind of did an overview and showed this one in just a mini little demo format. This one here is called Post, and this is an individual pattern that you can get, and you can also get it as a kit. This is a kit that you can get. The pattern is in the Diamonds by the Square book, which is our main reference book for the diamonds. And this one right here starts out with a diamond in the middle, and you get these long, thin points, so you get this kind of triangle shape instead of the regular 45 and 90 degree. These are the 60s and the 120s, and all of that is included in the Square in a Square system and on the Square in a Square ruler that you'll see here shortly when we get to the quilt project that we're making today. So this one is Postage Step Star, and this one is the one that I always refer people to when they're like, how do I do the diamonds? How do I cut the diamonds? How do I start at the beginning of learning the diamond process. This is the class that you go to. We start at the very beginning of cutting your strip, going in and cutting your diamonds at an angle from the strip, sewing the pieces on, trimming it, and then going into putting the pieces together to make the quilt. Now, I want to caution you, if you've been in the quilt world longer than 10 minutes, you have learned to look at quilts like these with unusual angles or lots of triangle units, and you know, okay, that's going to take some skill level, that's going to take some time. I don't know if I have those skills, I don't know if I have the time, so I'm probably going to have to bypass those and go to something a little bit more simple. But you're going to have to retrain your mind and retrain your eyes, because once you see the quilt world with the square eyes that I give you, with the way that I do square and a square, and the way that I do overcutting, and the way that I teach the science of patchwork, which is learning how to work with a human and our mistakes that we make, how do I move on, how do I improve it, how do I stop it, how do I work around it. That right there is the key of knowing with your own imperfections, how can I make this quilt. So that's why I feel so confident with all of my students that you can do this, is because I give you the skills and the knowledge that you need to work around those imperfections and flaws that we have when we sit down at our sewing machine or go to our cutting table, even at our pressing table. Many mistakes are made at the pressing table, and we talk about those also. So this one right here, these quilts, these are not beyond your reach, because we speed up the process in the way that we do it, but you're not working in a speedy, frantic fashion. You're still going at the pace that you want to, but we've just made the steps so easy and the process so achievable. It moves and you stay excited with it and it looks great. You go to the iron and you go, ah, instead of oh. And we love that when we go to the iron and we get ready to press our units and they look the way they're supposed to look and they're the size they're supposed to be. So retrain your eyes to start looking at quilts and saying, I know how to do that. Because when you follow what we teach, you will know how to do it and you will get to the end. You will finish it. You will accomplish it. You won't have a UFO or a whip, a work in progress, and you'll be excited about all of the new designs that you will now be able to do. So this one here was, this one I think was Stellar Star, and we talk about the diamond shapes in here because this diamond shape is the same as this diamond shape. And this diamond shape is the same. All we did was switch colors. Instead of a light with dark, we did a dark with light. Instead of putting the points out of the block, we put the points in, and you get that additional 4-pointed star with the same skills and knowledge that you had to do this one, the 8-pointed star. So here we have it, but we've done a little different. And look, this right here, you learn a new diamond shape. This is option 20, the long, flat, kind of like a flying goose. And then here you have these little half square triangles, but instead of being the 45 and 90 degree angle, you have these. And even though I may be using degrees and angles and you think, oh, I'm not a mathematician, I'm so glad I'm out of school, I didn't do well in math. That's what we remove. We remove that hassle and headache in knowing sizes and working with angles. It doesn't matter the triangle, it doesn't matter how many pieces, it doesn't matter the angle. With the square and a square system, we give you the skills and the knowledge to make them and get them done, get them completed. So this one down here was a little tulip one that we did, and these are from our Paradise Fabric Collection. You can go to the website and see those and order any of those that you like. This one was from our Vintage Fabric Collection, these two here. This one down here has been such a popular little quilt. This one, I don't know if they can see it. Can our camera angle change just a little bit to see as the crow flies? There we go. We've got some stars, some little crows, some 4 patches. This one is in a little booklet, and As the Crow Fly and 'Tis the Season, which is another one I'm going to show you, are all in that pattern and that little booklet. And then this one right here, this one is so pretty. We mix our Paradise fabric collection with some of our vintages, and this purple and black and orange is just so striking for fall. And I have so much in the works for fall. I'm really on that color scheme right now. That's what's really honing in my mind. Okay, so these are ones that are already in there that you can look at, you can take, you can watch, you can make, you can order the kits or the patterns. Use your stash. Just go in and have fun, however you enjoy doing it. Now, the rack behind me and these up here are ones that we're going to be teaching this year. So let's make sure our camera is up there where they can see those the best. Okay, here we go. I want to get this straight. Now, so I'm using a cheat sheet. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is what we call pre-Quilt Club week. And everybody can come in and watch that just like everybody is watching today. And then on Wednesday is what we call early bird. It's one class. It's Quilt Club week. And we just have one class that day on Wednesday to make sure everybody knows how to get into the portal or the website, the Quilt Club week module, whatever you want to call it, so that they can see everything for all week. So we just have the one class so that everybody has time during Wednesday, and Steve has time to help people if they need help. I'm the quilter, I'm not the technology person. Steve is the technology person, and he loves helping you. And so don't be afraid to say, hey, I need help. He'll make a little video for you, show you everything. And it does make a difference on if you're using a phone, what kind of smartphone, a tablet, an iPad, a computer screen, a laptop. You know, some of those have just some different little things about them. And if you need help, he will help you with that, okay? So today, Sunday, we're going to do Midnight Orchid. I have all my stuff laid out here on the table. We're going to get to that here in just a few moments. And then on Monday, we're going to do Gold Rush. This one right here, that's kind of hiding right there. Let me see if I can. So this one right here is Gold Rush. Such a beautiful quilt. So tomorrow we're going to be working on this block right here. 11 o'clock Central USA time is when these will be. We're going to be working on this beautiful block right here of Gold Rush. One of my most favorite quilts. I've actually made this quilt 3 times, and I just love it every time I do it. And when I'm looking for a beautiful block to put somewhere in a quilt, this is one of the top 5 blocks that always come back to me. You may see a lot of pieces and a lot of points and a lot of triangles, but when you learn option 4 half square triangles, and when you learn option 3 flying geese, it is just slick as a whistle, and it doesn't matter the angles or the size or how many pieces are in that block. You're going to be able to do it with great speed, great accuracy. So that's tomorrow, Monday, Gold Rush. Then on Tuesday, we're going to look at Pumpkin Star, which is a cute little fall holiday looking quilt here. And we're going to go in on the Cardinal quilt, which this one right here, can we pan over here just a little bit? So this one here is the Cardinal quilt. So this one is called 'Tis the Season, and it comes with As the Crow Fly pattern, which with a little crow and star. We just substituted the tree and the cardinal. These are just flying geese and half square triangles. You can do them. And same with here, 4-patch plain square. Really, really fun quilt to do. And I always tell everyone that make as many birds as you want. You know, if you make 1, 2, 3, 4, and you decide that's all you need, then leave it at that. If you're having a ball making all the trees and crows, then put a few more in. It'll be good however you decide to do it. Then on Wednesday for Quilt Club week, we are going to do Pathway to the Stars. So let's look right here. And this isn't all of the projects that we're doing. These are just the bigger full-size quilts with the full-size teaching on it. So this one here is called Pathway to the Stars. We have kits for it. The pattern is in No, I'm sorry. That one's not Pathway to the Stars. This one. Sorry. I got to looking at it when I was trying to figure out what book it was in, and it wasn't matching up in my brain, so I knew it. I had the wrong quilt. This one here is called Pathway to the Stars. We have kits for it, and it is in the Diamonds book. So that postage stamp star is one of them that's in the Diamond book, and this one is in the Diamond book. And you will learn option 29 in this one. That's one of those diamond shapes. You're going to get these triangles in the middle and this in all one option, option 29. And it's going to be so fun and easy to do. And look at these great corners. Anytime you have any questions or comments, type those in there and Mr. Steve will get them to me so that I can work on it for you.
There's your first one.
My first one's from Shelly. Hi, Shelly. I'm glad you're with us. Can you show us the pumpkins once again? It wasn't in the camera angle. Yeah, you're going to get to see it again, but let's go ahead and do it right now. Let's bring the camera down right here. This pumpkin star. Right here is the pumpkin star. And that one is one that we're doing tomorrow. There's a pattern for it that you can order. There's a kit for it that you can order. So we're going to do a quick little mini class on this. This one is so easy to do. You can do it. Just you know, if you, I'm going to say 6-8 hours. So if you sew 8 hours a day, you can do it in a day. It's going to be really fun to do. And we're going to, oh, and here's the cardinal while the camera's down here. That, if you're ordering the kit, these are the fabrics that will be in your kit for 'Tis the Season. And it will be for the bigger lap size quilt. And then these are the fabrics if you order the pumpkin star. This one, you can get the pattern and the fabric for this. And I'm 99% sure that that is $70. You get the pattern, you get the fabric for everything on the top and everything on the back. And we're going to talk about backs for fabric here in a few minutes, because if you are thinking about when you go to purchase fabric at a store, if you buy your fabric for the top here and then later you buy the fabric for the back, you may be spending more money than what you need to do. And I'm going to talk about that when I get into the fabrics and the quilt for the one that we're teaching today, just to give you another thought. And that's what I love about being able to do these classes online. If I went to your show or guild or whatever, I would have either an hour lecture, either a 3-hour half-day class, or a 6-hour full-day class. But no matter how I did that, I couldn't get all these tips and hints in there to you at once. For one thing, you don't have enough time to teach the quilt and teach all this other stuff. And the other thing is your brain will only hold so much in a day. It's just like when you go to eat, you can only eat so much at that meal time. Even though you got this whole buffet, you can't eat it all. So when I do this online like this, I can teach the class, I can show you how to make the quilt, but I can also pile all of this other knowledge and skills and tips and hints in there, because you can go back in and watch it over and over again. And you know, in class, everybody's in a hurry to get sewing, get sewing, get sewing. And so they're not always ready at that point to pick up on that tip or hint or knowledge that you need. And it's an overall skill that you need for everything, no matter how you put a quilt together, about thinking about fabric for the back at the same time that you're thinking about fabric for the top. Okay, so once again, if you have any questions, get them in there. And there is a slight delay of us getting the question. So sometimes you may say, what was that last quilt you shown? And I maybe have moved on. So if you can put a color or a pattern or something in there, if you're asking about a certain quilt, that's great. Like I think it was Shelley, she said the pumpkin star. So I knew which star she was talking about. So that's great. Try to be descriptive so I know which one to go back to. Thank you, Shelley, for doing that. Okay, so Pathway for the Stars is Wednesday. So this will be the one class I teach on Wednesday in the early bird of Quilt Club Week, to make sure everybody knows how to get into the website and navigate. And I don't want that to scare you, because it would, yeah, I'm not a techie person. That would scare me. But think about it like this. If you're going to a quilt show, you have to know where the convention center is, or where the building is that the event is being held in. And then you've got to figure out, when you get there, where to park. how to get your stuff up to the classroom, where is your classroom, all of that. So you usually plan a little extra time, or you should, so that you can know where all that is so that you're not late. And so that's kind of like what Wednesday is. It's like figuring out where I go, which floor do I go to, all of that, so that, you know, because if it's Thursday morning and we're opening at 9 o'clock with the whole show being open and all the classes and the lectures and everything, you know, you can be so excited about getting in there and ready to participate. Or if for some reason you were running behind that day, you know, then you could be all frazzled by the time you got to class and frustrated, you know, mad, upset, sad, whatever, negative emotions of whatever kind. So that's why we do our early bird and just have the one class. And this is the one that we'll have. And of course, there's kits for it. There's the patterns in your diamond book. And this is a mix. I love how all of my fabric collections go together. If you're new to watching, and you're looking at these fabrics and you're like, I've never seen these. Well, these are all of my own designs. I have my square and a square technique, which is the piecing and how to put quilts together. And then I have square textiles, which is my own fabric designs and my own little fabric house. And I do, I love to do that, but I like it because, well, just because of the way that we do our fabrics. And while I'm talking about that, on Tuesday, October the 1st, when Quilt Club week is over, so like a week and a few days, I can't believe October is a week and a few days away, is when we will start our new fabric promotion on our new fabric. And also in Quilt Club week, I will give you a preview on that then. But I'm really excited about the new fabrics that's coming. But this is, all of our fabrics go together. So you could have the vintage collection, you could have the shadow vintage collection, you could have the paradise collection, you could have the patriotic collection, and all of those fabrics go together. So this is a mix of our vintage fabrics and our shadow vintage fabric. So I love how all of them blend together. Okay, then on Thursday we're going to do Moonlight Star. And so a lot of these are going to be live, like a lot of these that I'm showing you are going to be live classes. So during Quilt Club week, we'll have our live opening at 9, and then I have a live class at 11, and then a live class at 3. It could be a full class like this, or it could be demos, tips, hints, how to put a block on point, whatever. And then my other teachers, Kay, Kathy, Sherry, they all have their different lectures, seminars, classes, little craft sewing projects that they teach each day. And those are all pre-recorded. So I'm the only one that's live this week for Quilt Club week. Everything else is pre-recorded. So I really enjoy doing the lives because I like that interaction, but I also enjoy doing the ones that are videoed and edited ahead of time and all that. I sometimes get off focus and go down some rabbit holes, but when they're pre-recorded and all edited, I really like those because it's just boom, 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 just lay it out and go. And so this one here is Moonlight Star, and that one is in, I think there's 5 videos, 5 parts for it, and it will all be on Thursday. And I can do the little lectures ahead of time to give you knowledge that, you know, each quilt brings out certain teaching opportunities for you. And so I love to be able to do that little mini lecture ahead of time and then do the actual, this is how you put the quilt together. So this one is Moonlight Star, and it's actually it's 3 fabric lines mixed together of mine, and you can get the fabric, you can get the kit, or you can just get the individual pattern. This one is not in a book, this is an individual pattern. Okay, and then on Friday I have Crown of Thorns.
So we have a question on what the quilt next to the cardinal.
Okay.
To the right of the cardinal, which
This one?
that one and maybe the one underneath, which
Okay.
you just showed.
Okay, this one's Pathway to the Stars. It's in the Diamond book. And this one is, and it's going to be taught on Wednesday. This one's taught on Thursday, and it's Moonlight Star, and it individual pattern. Use your stash or order the kit. Did that cover her question?
Yes.
Okay, right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, then This one's 'Tis the Season. We've talked about it. Let's talk about this one. Let's move over a little bit. And I want you to see the border. So this one is called Crown of Thorns, and it's also in the Diamond Book. So this one's in the Diamond Book Pathway. This one is in the Diamond Book, Crown of Thorns. And then that postage stamp star that I showed you at the beginning. Those are all in the Diamond Book. So that's just 3 of the quilts that are in there. All so beautiful. Now this one we do a big 9 patch, a little 9 patch, and then if you can see this whole rectangle right here, it's the 2 big red points and then this little fun little spears right here going in. He's going,
Oops,
let's go.
wrong way.
Wrong way. There we go. Okay, so this whole rectangle right here is one option. So you're not individually, an option is where you take your pieces, sew them together, and then trim them up to get the shape that you're looking for. That's what the square and square system is if you're new to it. So don't look at this as all of these little shapes that you have to cut out and sew together. We don't do it like that. And it's not paper piecing, it's just straight line sewing of squares and strips. I still just can't believe that I've been doing this for almost 40 years now, and that these beautiful quilts with all these angles and shapes are basically so simplistic to do. To me, the thing that makes a quilt hard is not the angle or the shape, and it's not how many pieces. To me, the thing that makes the quilt hard is if you're having to pay attention to color, placement, being in a certain place that's difficult. That to me is what makes a quilt hard. And it's not that you can't sew it. It's not hard in the sewing. It's just more concentration and thought in putting the color in that location while you're sewing. And so to me, when I look at all of these, it's not that, oh, that one's too hard, I can't make it. It's just that, okay, when I make this one, I'm going to have to pay attention to the color being in this certain spot. And when I teach it, I always point out that bump in the road, that this is where you need to pay attention.
What day is Pathway to the Stars?
Pathway to the Stars is this one right here, and it's Wednesday. It's our early bird. So this one is for the people who have joined Quilt Club Week. Go to the website. You can go to squareandsquare.net or go to squareandsquare.com. We have the 2 websites. The .net is the teaching website. You can see that on the screen, and you can sign up for Quilt Club Week, and you can sign up for Premium Club too if you want to. And I'll tell you more about Premium Club later. Or you can go to squareandsquare.com, which is the website we've had forever, and that's the one where the products are and where you can see the fabrics, and that's where you place your order and so on. So squareandsquare.com for the products and ordering, squareandsquare.net for the teaching. Now there are some videos on squareandsquare.com, like if you go look at the Grande ruler and you're like, I wonder what this ruler does. There's a video there. You can click on it and see what that ruler does, and then you can decide whether you want to make that purchase or not, okay? All right, so get your questions in if you have them. This one right here is Crown of Thorns. It's in the Diamond Book, and this is one that I'm teaching on Friday. Now remember, Friday is each day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, all has multiple classes, multiple workshops, multiple lectures, not just the one class. I'm just showing you bits of what we're doing each day and showing you the big quilts that we're doing. And when I say big quilts, you can make the quilt any size you want. I'm thinking about the depth of teaching that we're doing on there. Sometimes these formats, webinars, when we're open to the public, I do what I call mini teachings or demo teachings. When we go into Premium Club and Quilt Club Week, it's the pressing, it's the sewing, it's the cutting, it's everything. So to me, that's a big quilt, not in size, but big quilt in the teaching that I give you the in-depth teaching.
Here's a testimony for you.
Okay, this is from Rose Bud, and she said, I did your system for 4th of July quilt. I did 450 flying geese in a couple of hours or so. Isn't that amazing, Rosebud? That is so exciting. I love to see that kind of stuff. 450 flying geese in a couple of hours or so. That is amazing. You know, flying geese and half square triangles are what you use to make almost every quilt. And, you know, like I said, you get used to looking at quilts and deciding whether you can do them or not by the time and by how many pieces and what the angles and stuff are. But with the square and a square, it doesn't matter, because all you're doing is, this is all you do. This right here is all you do. Just square in the middle with strips on the side, or a diamond in the middle with strips on the side. And then we do the square and a square of trimming it up, sewing around it again, chopping it up, adding more, and you get this wonderful stuff right here with, so on this one I'm going to cut a diamond and I'm going to sew around it, just like that square. And I'm going to trim it. And then I'm going to sew around it again and trim it, and then I'm going to sew it around it again. So you're always putting strips on a square. And so that's your sewing. That's all you're doing. And then you're letting the system, the magic, do the work for you of trimming and cutting and shaping and seam allowances. The system does that for you. And then you wind up with this beautiful rectangle. It's square, it's flat, there's no dog ears hanging off. Your angles and points are where they're supposed to be, and it's just exhilarating because you go to press and open it up and it's like, whoa, how did I do this? How did that happen?
Talk about the border.
Oh, and the border, yes. And so the border is the same rectangle shape right here. So let's get our little white fences out so that you can see. So see, there's that rectangle. See it? You've got the red on the outside and this inside. So now we're going to take this rectangle and see, there it is right there. So see this nose or this point? I always say point out, point in, point out, point in. And so you're just flip, 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 and that's your border. You don't cut those pieces out. You don't sew those pieces together. You start with a diamond in the middle, or you start with a square in the middle, and you sew strips around it. You trim it up with the knowledge of the square and a square system, and then sew strips again and trim it, sew strips again, trim it, cut it, dice it, slice it, and you get these shapes. And so the square and a square system, the first 7 options, 1 through 7, are the basic ones. 1, 3, and 4, we're going to see 1 and 3 today. Learn those. And then the other options, option 8, all the way up to option 44, the firefly, all build off of that beginning knowledge. And we do have 3 rulers, but you don't have to have all 3. You can just start with one. We usually recommend that you start with the original square and a square ruler. It looks just like this, and it does everything I'm showing you up here. 1 tool, 1 ruler does everything. Now we do have the grande that will, you know, help you with your squares and your strips, and it makes cutting the diamond a little bit more simplistic, and it does options 1 through 7. And then we have the mini. I'm sorry? The square options, yes. And then we have the mini ruler. And the mini ruler has turned out to be one of my most favorite tools. I use it every day in my sewing room. And it's not that it only makes mini quilts. This one will make every quilt that I'm showing you today, except for a couple of these diamonds that start getting really big. You can still use it, but there's a little bit more fabric than ruler. So I won't go into detail on that right now, but the point is that all of the rulers do almost everything, but if you're just getting one, the original is the one that I want you to get. And then the reference book that we're working out of today for the square, to me, that's a must-have. And then the diamond book that goes into the diamonds. That's really the core of the system. If you can have the original ruler, the reference book 1 that does the square, and the reference book 2 that does the diamond. From that, you'll be able to make as many quilts as you want to make in your lifetime, and you'll have the charts and the information, so every quilt that you see that you want to make, you can adapt it over to the square and a square system with the charts and the information that's in there. Okay, and then Trinity River. So let's look at these over here. So this one is Trinity River, and it's in the Melee Women book. And the Gold Rush is in the Melee Women book. It has, the Melee Women book has 34 patterns in it. So if you're wanting a book that's just full of patterns, then that one is a great one to get. There's 34 patterns in it, and these are two of my favorite. So this right here is your option that you're going to make. And then you're just going to do your sashing and cornerstones, and then just sew them in rows. That's it. That's all we're going to do for that. Very, very easy and simple. This is some of our Shadow Vintage fabrics. We also have it in kits. Then Kay is teaching for her main quilt projects. She's going to do the snail's tails. Can you see it down there? She's doing snail's tails. We've used the vintage fabric for it, but of course you can use anything, make it any size you want. Snail's tail is in reference book 1, the main book. And then we've got this beautiful, I'll just pick it up because I don't think you can see it down there. And of course you can make as many blocks as you want. Sometimes when we make samples, we don't, you know, if it's got 12 blocks and you can see the pattern with, you know, 9 blocks or whatever, then we just make it. We don't always make it as big as what the pattern is for the sample. This one is turkey tracks, and it's got this wonderful green cobblestone fabric from the Paradise collection. You can choose any of those fabrics from Paradise and substitute it in there for the green, and this is one of ours. And then look at this border, it's just flying geese, really pretty. And like in this class for Kay, we had, I'm going to say at least 2 other turkey track quilts, maybe more than that, maybe 3 or 4 of them in different colors and different combinations of where we put the background and where we put the color, because with a 2-color quilt, the way that you can, there's 3 parts to it. You've got your background in your block, you've got your pattern, and then you have your big squares. So there's actually at least 3 different ways that you can put these 2 with just 2 colors together to get a different look. And then also in the border, it's all flying geese, all the flying geese, but the different ways that you flip and flop your flying geese in there, you get a different shape. I love how it looks like this little white triangle is just kind of hanging out in there. And it's just the way, the sewing is the same, it's just the way that you turn it in the quilt. So I love, love, love that. Then Sherry is teaching on one day. She is teaching the pineapple quilts here. And here you can see it in kind of the vintage fabrics. Here you can see it in the Paradise fabrics. And then here you can see it in the patriotic fabrics. So not only do we, you know, show you the quilt that we're making, but we show it in other fabrics and other colors, because we all like and enjoy and sometimes need something and something different than what it is. Some of us can see that pattern in different fabrics, and some of us need a little bit more help with the color. And so it's nice to have those samples already made up and ready to go. Now this one here is an individual pattern, and this is one that Sherry is teaching, and it's called Bride's Vase. And so we're going to do some crazy stuff up here with an option that is just so super cool. I love it when you get to see some options that we don't normally teach or show, and that you can see how easy they are. And we've just used option 1, the square and a square, for the border. What a beautiful border, just simple option 1 is. We did purple on one side, pink on the other. This is a kit. This is the Paradise Fabrics. Check all of these out for their kits, their patterns. Go to the website, squareandasquare.com, because that's where the products are. And just put in the name, Bride's Vase or Snail's Tail or Pineapple, or just put in kits, and then you can go in there and look at all of the different kits that are available. And if you ever have any questions, just email or text. Okay, we have a question.
Do you know what day the pineapple is?
The pineapple, I do not know what day the pineapple is that Sherry's teaching. Well, it has to be Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
Yeah.
But I don't remember which day it is.
Yeah. I'm not sure either.
Yeah, because Kay and Kathy and Sherry all have classes every day. Now, while we're talking about the teachers and what they're teaching, Kathy is our machine quilter, and she quilts just on a regular tabletop domestic normal sewing machine, and she has taught machine quilting in every year of Quilt Club Week, and in Premium Club she'll go in and teach some quilting for the different semester projects that we have. And she is she's realistic. Her works looks great, but I think in this year's videos you're actually going to see a little frustration in her machine quilting. Is that right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
She figures it out. That's
Yeah,
good.
so what I love is that, you know, it's good for you guys to see that even as the teachers, sometimes things don't go the way we want them to. And how do we troubleshoot, and how do we work past what the problem or the issue is? I mean, that's how we all learn, is with controversy. I came up with the square and a square system because I couldn't make flying geese and half square triangles. And that's how all of this started 40 years ago, is that when we have a complication, we just have to keep moving forward of trying to figure out how to bypass it.
It's just that she realized that she didn't like a particular stencil.
Yeah, something that
But
she thought would work.
It was beautiful.
Wasn't what she had in mind. It wasn't what she had in mind. And so she shows how to work through that, and how to still get beautiful results. And you can see part of the quilt here, not all of it, but you know, all of this beautiful quilting was done just on her. Look at that. Oh my gosh, I just love that. Done on her regular sewing machine that she pieces her quilts on. So and with this one, since there is some applique on it, she talks about how, do you want to do the piecing of the top and then quilt it, so you don't have to worry about the applique and working around it with the quilting? Or do you do the applique and then do the quilting and then you work around it? So she talks about the pros and cons. So I guess a lot of maybe what she's teaching this particular year is the pros and cons on different quilts, and what to think about in the process of doing that. Okay, so did we talk about all the quilts? Do we have any questions before we get into class?
I was going to look and tell you again. Pineapple is on Friday.
Pineapple is on Friday.
Pineapple on Friday.
Okay, pineapple is on Friday. Miss Sherry is teaching pineapple on Friday. Okay, I'm going to rework my tabletop here for just a moment. So here you can see a little bit more of the Moonlight Star, and it is I think it's 100 by 100. And in class I talk about how to not change the size of the blocks, but how to change the different components of the quilt to make the quilt smaller, because it really grew in the process of me working on it and making it. Okay, did we get all of these talked about? I think we did. Okay, let's look at these right here for just a moment, and I'm going to put these up here so that they can see them. This one is the Pumpkin Patch. Such a cute little fall quilt. I just love having, I like to decorate for fall. I decorate for fall like I do Christmas, which is not as over the top as I used to be, but still pretty heavy. And then this one is As the Crow Flies. I mean, this one is 'Tis the Season, and you can see the colors and the fabrics, and this is what your kit will be. Your kit will be for the big lap size, not for this little small one. But see, you can change the size and just make a table topper, just not make as many rows or as many in a row. You may decide to put more crows in, or more trees, or more whatever. Now, also in that, as the cardinal and the tree one. Let's look at it again, Steve, please. So when you look at this, you see that we've just done it in reds and greens. None of the fabric in this quilt is Christmas fabric. So to me, it makes it more just a wintertime quilt that I can use over a table or across the back of a chair or on the wall, whatever, however you decorate and use your quilts, and just flying geese and half square triangles. Okay, so I'll get this up here for class and we'll get going. So if you have any questions on any of these quilts or what we've talked about, get that question in. Okay, are we good? Okay, so let's move our camera over here. Okay, so this is our little star that we're going to be making, and these are the 3 fabrics that we've chosen for it. This is from our Shadow Vintage collection, and this one is from our Shadow Vintage collection. Just beautiful, beautiful fabrics. And this one is from our Paradise fabric. This one is called the Floral, and this one is called the Black Vine, and this one is called the Diamond Dot. Now we do have just a tiny little bit of Diamond Dot when we did our promotion for the Paradise fabric. The black Diamond Dot and the gray Diamond Dot sold out immediately. And something that's good for you guys to know on our fabrics is I always hold a little bit back for a while, because I know it takes time for you guys to make your quilts and get to that project and so on. You want to take advantage of the specials that we have going. But you know, when you get started on a quilt and you wind up that you want to make it bigger or you need more fabrics, it's nice to know that you can. That's one reason why I make my own fabric, is because you can come back to the source and you can say, Jody, I need a yard of that to finish my quilt. Do you have some? And yes, I normally always have it. About 6 months ago, I had a lady asking for some fabric that I made 10 years ago, back in, I think it was 2014. And I think she's the only person I've ever had to say, no, I don't have any more of that particular fabric. So if you get the kit, you get to choose. We're going to talk about backs, about when you buy fabric. Think about your quilt and the size that it is and buying the back at that time. So if you purchase this kit, you can purchase a kit where you use this on the back. That's the one that we call the gray back, and you can see it in the block. Or you can choose a kit that has the black for the back. So when you choose your kit, do that. Now let's look at our quilt up here. So this is our little star right here. We're going to do flying geese and option 3 to do it. But when you look at our quilt, see how the block is put on point. So on point means that instead of the block being sewn in rows horizontally, that you sew the block so that the block is on point, and you're sewing rows, but you're sewing diagonal. And I've got a great demo I'm going to do for you on how to do that. It's not hard, but it kind of twists with our brain a little bit, because instead of sewing them horizontal in rows in our quilt, we're going to still sew them in rows, but the rows will be diagonal. So here you can see the block, and then we have a plain square and a block and a plain square, and then this is the side setting triangles. We have those, and then we have this border. Now, buying the backing has to do with thinking about the border, okay? So in this quilt, we have this beautiful floral that is a border. And when you do a border that is a straight strip, and you have a beautiful print, you don't want to have to piece that together. So that means you don't want to cut selvage to selvage and then have to piece that together to get your long border. It breaks up the beautiful design that you don't want to bust up. So see, here's your design. You want to use it. You don't want to have to try to piece it or bust it up in a quilt. And if you're cutting from selvage to selvage, you're going to get approximately that, you know, the fabric says 44, 45 in the width. When I figure fabric, I always figure it at 40 inches. But That basically means that if you cut a 40-inch strip and a 40-inch strip to get your 80 inches, which if you were doing a queen size quilt, you would need that on all of the sides. And also when you're cutting a border, when fabric is woven, that selvage to selvage is fibers going this way, and then it's fibers going this way, that is the length of your fabric. And those threads that cover the length of your fabric, like when you have a bolt of fabric, you have like 15 yards on that fabric. So it's that thread that runs that whole 15 yards on there. I guess just to be simple, to simplify it, that is a more stable thread in your weaving of your fabric. So if you can cut your border so that you can cut it the length of your fabric, then that border is going to sew on better, it's going to lay better, it's going to press better, it's going to quilt better. Now, you think about, okay, if I have a border that's 80 inches, you know, 2 yards of fabric is 72 inches, so you're going to have more, you know, you're going to have 2.5 yards of fabric to cut those borders to get them all one length. So let's just kind of look down here and let's do a quick example.
I have a batting question. Do you know what kind of batting Kathy likes to do on her domestic machine?
I don't remember specifically the company that she uses. There are, you know, in the quilt world, the last 10 years or so, a lot of new companies have come, and a lot of, I'm going to say older companies are not there. So there's been a real switch up on machines and textiles of the fabric and textiles of the batting. So I'm not sure which company to recommend for her. That is her favorite. I'm pretty sure in the videos she'll tell you. Do you remember this year?
She did, but
I know
don't
early
think
on in 2020 and 2021 she did, and I can ask Kathy and give that in another.
Is it like 80-20 probably?
But the content of it is a 80-20. It's probably the main one that all machine quilters use. Of course, there's, you know, different people are going to request wool or bamboo or all of that, but the content of the fabric is 80-20. That means 80% cotton and then 20% of the other fiber. Okay, so let's look down here at our fabric, and let's play like that this is, let's just say 2 yards, because that's going to be easier in our head when I'm working with numbers for you guys. And let's see if this green shows up good. Can you guys see that? Not really. Let me grab another one. Well, let's see how this one does. I want you guys to be able to see it good on the screen. So that pink one's probably the best. You might go look over there, Steve, on one of those other 2 tables and see if there's a black or a brown one or a red one that works a little better. Yeah, did you find one? Sorry guys, I should have had that test. Okay, let's see if that, my other one was a pink. Oh, that's better. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to do this because that's the fold line. Just like this right here is the fold, and the fabric's in 2 layers. And then you've got a cut side and a cut side. And then this is your selvage edge like you have down here, okay? And let's say that this is 2 yards in length, which is also 72 inches, right? Okay, let's say that my, let's talk about the border first. So if you have a border that needs to be this 72 inches to go around your border, and let's say that you've got, so if this is your quilt, and you're going to have a border on it, and let's just say that's 6 inches, that the width of this is 6 inches. You would come in here, you know, if you're going to cut selvage to selvage, you would come in here like this, and you'd have to cut multiple ones and sew them together to get that 72 inches. You'd have to cut 2 of those, and then just keep working into your fabric like that. Now, if you cut it the length of your fabric, and you need this border, the 72 inches, and let's say it's 6 inches, you're going to have to do that 4 times. So if your fabric is doubled because it's on the fold, then you're going to cut a 6 inch, the length of your fabric. So that's length of your fabric. So if you cut 1 section, then you're going to get 2 because it's on the fold, and you cut 1 section here, you're going to get 2 because it's on the fold, and you're going to have your 4 pieces that you need, your 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now, of course, there's more to this. You've got to think about your corners. These are shorter here than, you know, I'm not going to get into that today. I'm just talking about the fabric, and we're just going to use easy numbers to work with. So then you have all of this. So if you have, actually you have 4 strips of, that's 24 inches that you've cut right here off of your 40 inches. You know, when you go, your fabric is, we just say it's 40 inches, it's 44, 45, but 40 is easy to work with. So if you subtract the 24 inches from that, then you're going to have 16 inches of fabric left. You're going to have, did I do that right? 10 is 6 and 3. Yeah, you're going to have 16 inches of fabric left. So basically 8 inches on this side and 8 inches on the other side. So this is a nice big hunk right here that you have that you can either use to cut your other pieces out of. But when you're thinking about a border, so let's say that if our quilt is this 72 by 72 is the size of our quilt, then when we do our back, you know, this quilt, we need to do about 80 by 80 for the back of our quilt. So here we have all of this long fabric here. So if we need like 2 yards, we need like 2 yards this direction for our, a little bit more for the 80 inches. Well, with the 80 inches, it would work to do 2 and 2. So I guess that number's not a good one to work with. But what I'm trying to say is that if you have this right here that's 40 inches, and you have taken, if this is a 4-yard piece, and you've got 2 yards here and 2 yards here, you can use this 40 inches for the back, and then you can come over here and take this 16 inches that you have and add to it, and you have a piece that has gotten wider of 56 inches. So for example, with this quilt that we have right here with this one, we don't need, it's not 80 by 80. I don't need a 2-yard hunk and a 2-yard hunk to make my back for the quilt. So that part, I can take my border off of that one section and then have that leftover that goes on to the other back of the quilt. So I don't know if I explained that very good. I didn't have my numbers in my head to work with the fabric. I was trying to use easy numbers, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying, that this section here that you have left over from your borders can be sewn on for the back. Now, and so let's say that you do buy 4 yards of fabric to make the quilt. Well, when you're using this, then it's going to save you from buying this whole section here when you buy your fabric. So you would have to buy a 4-yard piece for the back. That's additional piece. That's it. Sorry, I don't know if I explained that the way that I should. Hopefully you got what I'm saying with the kits. So when you go and look for the kits on the website, the ones that have the back, that's normally why we sell the kit with the back, is because it gives you a better value for the money that you're spending. You don't have to go in and buy an additional. Okay. If you have questions on that, let me know, but hopefully I did a good enough job on it that you get what I'm saying. And this red is one of our patriotics that's on sale, and we are getting, I always like to tell you when we're getting down to the end of the fabric, and this one in the red, and I think this one in the blue, those are going pretty fast.
Do you know how much, on the Midnight, do you know how much fabric for the border and for the back?
Offhand, I don't. But I know that lots of times when we do our fabric promotions, I know lots of times people buy a 3-yard, a 4-yard, and so on to be able to get the better price. And so you've got some in your stash, but then you're thinking about borders, and you know you're going to need more. And so it's good to always think about that. That's
the other one, right?
This is Moonlight.
Midnight. She was wondering about Midnight.
Oh, Midnight.
The one you're doing.
Oh, this one for the borders. Oh,
And backing.
let me look at my little, because this is one of those kits where we've got the border and the backing together on the fabrics because it's a better value. So let me see if I can look right here real quick. So if you're using the black vine, you can see it here in the border, you can see it here in the border, and then here, and then what do I have on the back? Yeah, I have the black on the back. So if you're getting the kit, this is a 6-yard piece, and in all of these videos that we've been doing, and webinars, I don't know if we did it today, Steve, did they have all of the kits for downloads, attachments? Okay, so you do have a PDF of this that breaks down the fabric if you're on the email list. If you're not on the email list, then you need to get on the email list so that you can get all this extra information. So on this one, we use 6 yards, and it was for the 2 borders, the back, the binding, and the star points is what we had. And it looks like the star points, it looks like we set aside 2 yards for the star points. So, but the quilt is 51 by 62. So I'd have to think about that if just buying a 4-yard piece would be enough. I've got too many numbers in my head and too much going on to figure that. But if you need more help, send me a message on the Quilt text hotline, because I want to tell you right, and I want my brain to be able to do it right. Our Quilt text number is 817-713-2879. So anytime you have a question about anything, you can text it on there. When it has to do with fabric amounts or quilting, piecing, any of that. If you have on the email is where we prefer, where you have questions about your order or about technology, how to find something, how to do something. Because with that quilt text line, we can make a video and send it to you of whatever, and it just works great. I prefer that. Okay, so that's it on the fabrics and the kits and the border and the backing, and I like to be more clear on what I teach, and I feel like I didn't give that backing and border what I like to do when I teach. So I'm sorry about that. I hope you guys can get the idea of what I'm doing. Okay, so here we are with our little project. Okay, so this is what we want to make is our star, and this is the 8-inch block that we're doing, so that means it's 8.5 cut. So remember, there's always 2 sizes that quilters refer to. The cut size is larger, and words that you can use for a cut. So see how this is has a cut edge. It has a cut edge, it has a raw edge, or it's unfinished. Even though the star in your block is finished, this is an unfinished size because it still has raw edge. So unfinished. And if you're reading the charts in the book, that kind of stuff, you need to pay real close attention to what number you're working with and what number the chart is working with. Okay, so this one here is an 8.5 cut. Okay, now the other size is what we call sewn or graph paper. Or finished. And it is the smaller size that every piece has. And that would mean that it is an 8-inch sewn block. So sewn, finished, and graph paper, sewn, finished, and graph paper is the smaller size, and it means no raw edges anywhere. Even though you're finished with this star, it still has raw edges on it, so it is a cut, raw, or unfinished size, okay? And lots of times people will say, oh, it's a 12-inch block, or oh, it's an 8-inch block. You know, that means sewn in a block. It means 12.5 if it's cut or whatever. It's just easier to say 8-inch block than 8.5-inch block. And when you're building a quilt, this is what you have to work with, is this right here. Okay? Now, in our book, this little pattern is found in our Square and Square reference book. This is your book 1. It's your main reference book. And in the beginning, it's got your options in here. It's got a lot of information here in the front. Page 12 is where it tells you how to put a set a block on point. So we'll come back to that one. Your options are up here. And then it gets into your quilts and your patterns. It'll always tell you what you need to know, what to cut, and all that. So this one here is the, in the book here, it is called Ohio Star. So this one has a little plain square in the middle here, but let's look up here at our quilt. In our quilt, it has an option 1 in here. See how you have this extra black going on right there in the corner. So when I get to cutting this for you, we're going to show you how to do that option 1. I'll come back to the cutting of that here in just a minute. But this is your pattern right here that you need. And right here on your pattern, it's going to tell you what size the quilt is, what size of block we're working with, how many blocks, and then give you a little synopsis here of what this quilt is doing. Then it's going to tell you how much fabric you need, what to cut, how many strips to cut, and everything is all about your square in the middle and your strips on the side. And so when you read your pattern, like this one right here, it says use a 2.5 strip and cut it into 12 center squares. So the center square means the center of the option. Like on this one here, it is a square and it's in the center, but I will not use the term center square. Center squares are always for your basic square here. Like to refer to this one, I would say center of the star. It's the center square for the star. It's not the center for the option. And then I always tell you what option it is. On some of the newer things that we're printing up, it'll even have a little button, a little dot right here, and it'll say, you know, with a 1 in it. That means it's going to come over here and be step 1. So you see that little dot and it says step 1. In our newer things that we're printing, it would have a little dot right there and it would say, and it would have a 1 in it, and that means step 1. That's where you're going to use it. So here's your instructions for putting the quilt together. And then when you come over here and also over on other pages, don't forget to turn the page, you have sizes. So this right here at the top of the page, it says the fabric amounts listed will yield approximately 12 blocks. So this is your block. So these fabrics right here that we give you are approximately for this block, 12 of them. So this is the 3-inch block, the 4-inch, the 5, the 6, the 7, the 8. And what we're working on is the 8-inch block. So these are your numbers and sizes that coordinate with this size that we're working on here today. Okay, so let's get into the construction of it. Now, once again, I want to tell you that this little star right here has a plain square in the middle, okay? And our quilt that we're making has an option 1 in the middle. So let's look at this cute little quilt. Do we need to move our camera? And it's got different fabrics in it, so it's easy to see them separated away. And let's get our little white fences up here. So here's your star. So see how this one that I'm showing you has just a plain square in the middle. And look how this one has that option 1 in the middle. Just like that. So that's the difference in this star here and the one up in the quilt. And then let's bring it out a little bit. We have our flying geese on each side and our plain squares in the middle. And then we have our setting square. And then we have our side triangles. And then we have our corner triangles. And we're going to come back and talk about these corner triangles and these side triangles shortly. But I really like to show you this one because the fabrics are all different. So each section really pops out. It doesn't all blend together like the black one that we're working on today. Okay? All right, let's get to cutting these. Because when you see, it's going to be really easy to do. All right, can we see this cutting? Okay, so in the middle of the quilt, we need an option 1. So square in the middle, strips on the side. You can cut these just, you know, straight, or you can fussy cut them so that that pink is in the middle exactly the way you want it. Now, if you're brand new to the system, you're going to come to your ruler and find the 90. And where that first set of lines come together, the tip of that 90, we're going to push it right into the tip or corner of that square. Now, when you're working with black and you have black lines, a lady I helped just this week on the Quilt Text Hotline, her block was not as clean looking as she wanted it to be, and we went through all the different troubleshootings, and what we finally figured out was that because she had black fabric and the black line on the ruler, that she just needed to adjust it just a little bit, and it was just that simple. So we're going to put the tip of that 90 in, and see that 1/4 of an inch is going to leave that 1/4 of an inch off of our corner and our point. So I'm just going to push that 90 right into that corner. That first set of black lines goes over, and her grid line shoots through the point. Now, her question on that quilt text line was that this was not coming through that opposite corner the way she wanted it to. It was just a little bit off. And because of the black fabric and the black lines, I was like, what? Get a better light and look and see if everything is lined up good. She just needed to shift it just a little bit. And that was just the simpleness of fixing her situation. So there's that 1/4 of an inch. And for the option 1, we're just going to turn it. So in these pre-classes, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, there's always a lot I want to tell you and get as much teaching in as possible. But when we do the classes in Quilt Club, I'm going to say they're more in depth and just what we need for that quilt. Okay, so I've done all 4 sides. I've trimmed leaving that 1/4 of an inch. And that's going to go in the middle. And look how it makes this black so much bolder. So there it is with the option 1 in the middle. And you basically have 3 triangles of black. And it makes this orchid smaller. And see, so that's the difference right there. Okay, so you're going to make your option 1s. Now this next one right here is option 3 flying geese, and that's the points of our star. So we start with our basic square, just like we started with our basic square here. And on this one, we trimmed leaving the 1/4 of an inch on all 4 corners. And that goes in the middle. Now on this one, we're going to trim leaving the 1/4 of an inch on 2, and we're going to Texas 2-step the other 2. And the reason why we trim sharp and do what we call the 2-step is because we're going to cut through here. We have to create a seam allowance, and we have to move these points so that they'll turn out to be exactly where we needed them to be, so that we have that 1/4 of an inch when we get it sewn into our block and into our quilt. So we're going to trim 2 opposites with the 4th, and we're going to trim 2 opposites with what we call the 2-step. So we're going to put this on here so you can see these lines, because this black and the lines, like I talked about, sometimes it's hard to tell what you're doing. So of course, to leave the 1/4 of an inch, we're going to use the first set of lines and push that 90 right into that corner and leave that 1/4 of an inch. Then when we do the other 2 and do the 2-step, we're going to step it over 2 lines, 1, 2. And we're going to push it so that this, where the line comes off the edge of the ruler, is in that corner, and it will make that sharp trim. So I'm actually going to do that one first. So you can see how I push my 90 in, and then I'm just going to drag my ruler down to the center of the square to that second line and put it in there. So there's my 90, and then see how I step it 1 or drag it down, step it 2 or drag it down, and then I'm going to check to make sure that right where that line comes off the edge of the ruler is right in that point, and that line will be on that seam. And then I go back to the point and I look at that new grid line going through, and that grid line going through lets me know that it helps me to know that that black is on that black the way that it should be. And trim, see how it's sharp? No 1/4 of an inch on that corner. Now flip it and do the other side. Put your 90 in there and 2-step it. Now, since I've already cut, I didn't talk about it on this one, but as you cut and go around, you need to make sure your block is staying square, meaning that these corners are staying 90, that it's not shifting. So see these lines that are horizontal and vertical? They help you keep that fabric block underneath your ruler square. It helps you know that everything is going the way that you want it to. And now we're going to turn it, and we're going to do the 90. Put the 90 in there and leave it. I'm going to look here and here where I've already cut. Make sure I'm staying as square as possible. Flip it and do the other side. Now because I did the 90, because I did the 2-step first, and the 2-step is where I need to cut, see how I can take this ruler and just slide it over. I don't have to move anything. And I can cut right through those sharp points. And notice how I'm looking at my lines to see that my rectangle of my flying goose is staying nice and true and square. So see how flat, see how true, how clean, neat, even. That lady that said that she made 450 flying geese in just a few hours, boom, boom, boom. This is how she did it. So now these are going to go, you're going to sew 2 to your center, whether you've chosen the option 1 or you've chosen just a plain square. Now, if you want a plain square in here, all you have to do is measure this flying goose and cut your square that size, because that's what it's matching up to. So you can follow the instructions in the pattern. If you don't want the option 1, follow the instructions for your flying geese, measure them, and then that's what your center square is if you're doing just a plain square. So now on these sides, we want squares on the corner. So now we're going to do our flying geese and just put squares on the corner. Now I do like to overcut them, whether you're doing them as just an individual square, or if you're keeping them as a strip. I'm not going to teach the strip today, but we do like to cut them a little bit larger. So let's just see what that is. That's a 2.5. So these are cut 2 3/4 so that we can sew them on so that they're nice and neat with the inside here, because that's the inside that has to be the seam. So here where the nose of the goose is, make sure they're lined up nice and neat and sew them on. And then you have this little extra coming off of the corners, and then that gives you room for your block to fill out that whole corner, and you can trim it up nice and neat and even. If you cut them a perfect 2.5 inches, you have to make sure you sew them a perfect 2.5 inches, and we're human, so that's not going to be perfect. And then you need to do it 4 times on each block, and then 4 times however many blocks you're making. That's a lot of perfection that you have to have. So that's one of the simple things of overcutting that we teach. Now we get more in-depth with our overcutting in our premium club, but that's just a quickie for class today. So if you have, let's lay this out. So then you're going to sew 2 rows together just like that with your corners. We're going to play like this one is our little square for the corner. I've got one that's floating around apparently. So we'll just play like he is an overcut of 2 3/4. So you're going to sew your 1 row, another row, sew your center section, and then when your center sections are put together, then there's your star, just like that.
That's on point there, right?
And then you can see it on point right here. So let's look at this one up here on the screen. So it's amazing how putting a block on point can really mess with your head. So here is your block right here. And there's your option 1s in the middle. So you're going to sew this together in a row and see how you have a side triangle there, and you'll have a side triangle here, and then in this row, and then in the corner rows you have the side triangles and you have the corner triangle. Now let's look at how to, do we have any questions on this before we move on to the how to put it on point? Okay, let's put the camera right here on this one so that they can see this one. And you can be checking it out. And this one I hand quilted with pearl cotton. It was really fun to do like that. Now in your book, if you want help on putting a block on point, go to page 12. Now lots of times, like if you're just kind of doing your own creating and building and fun, it's like this was an 8-inch block that we were working with today, 8-inch cut, 8.5 sewn. So it's like, well, what size is this? Well, we know that would have to be 8.5 to match up with your 8.5 block. But what about this? What about these side triangles? And what about this corner triangle that's even a little bit smaller? So we have to think about when you're doing these triangles on the side, we want the straight of the grain here on the outside so that your quilt won't stretch and get out of shape. It's really important to do that. Okay? So you're going to have 2 blocks that you're going to cut for your side triangles and for your corners. So when you come over here to your 12, you see this very first picture and it shows it cutting it with an X. So you're going to cut it like this, and you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 triangle units, and it says it's the side triangle. So you're going to get 4 of these, and it's going to be this one here for the side triangle. That way, that see this outside edge right here, that is the straight of grain. See how that straight of grain is right here on this outside edge. So you have to, for these side triangles, you have to use the one where you get 4 triangles out of the square. And also, you know, even if you don't, because see, like on this one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that means I'm going to have to do one that I can get 4, and one that I can get another 4, and then I'm going to have to do another one to get the other 2 for the 10 that I need. So even though you need, there's 2 of them you're not going to use, you still have to cut the square and cut them out and have some extra, okay? And so those are for the side triangles like you see here, and they are larger, but you're going to get 4 out of your square. Now this next one here is the next one on the chart in your book, and they call it the corner triangle. So here's your corner triangle, and of course you're going to always need 4. And it shows you in the picture that you're just going to cut it one time. So you're going to have to cut 2 squares. Now, when you look at this corner triangle, you need that straight of the grain here and here. So here you can see it, here and here, your straight of grain, and this inside is where the stretchy part is, right here, and see how it's on the inside of your quilt, just like these are on the inside of your quilt. Then you have your picture where it's all exploded out into the individual pieces, and then you can see your picture where it all starts to be sewn in rows. So here you can see is the corner. So you're going to have a side sewn on here and a side sewn on here, and then you're going to have a corner on there. And then of course this corner repeats down here in this corner. See how that corner and the shape and everything is all the same. Then for the rows that go inside the quilt, depending on how many blocks you're doing, see how this next row, no matter how many blocks you have in here, you will have a side triangle and a side triangle. And then whenever you work your way, depending on this, what I'm going to call the middle one, depending on how many blocks you're using, you may have several rows before you get to the next corner. But then on this one, you have a corner triangle, your settings and your pieced, and then a side. And then here's the next one, and see it has a corner one down here, like that one had the corner one way up there, and a side. And then you just keep going, and it goes back, and then you have your corner. Now I really like this quilt because of all the different colors that are in it. You can really see the blocks. Nothing blends and runs into the others. And this is a great little, I always have little scrap stars in the process. It's a great way to work through your scrap box. So now let's talk about knowing what size. So we have to know what size to make this one so that when we cut it into 4s, they fit. And we have to know what size to make this one so that when we cut it in 2s, they fit. Now I do like to have them overcut a little bit, and so that you can go in and trim it off, because I'm a big believer in overcutting. So here on your chart, the quilt that we're working on were 8 inches. So it says, what is the sewn or finished size of your quilt? You come down here and find your 8 inches, and then you move across, and the top of that column says cut. This is the cut size of your square, and it will tell you that that's for the side. And then it says this is the cut size of your square here, and that would be for those corners. So that chart is really simple to use. I don't know how you can get any more simple. Now, we're going to be done here in just a minute, so if you have any last minute questions, get them in, and I'm going to lay these pieces out so that you can get one more visual. Okay, now those of you that are in Premium Club, you can go to the technique section of premium in your Premium Club module. Go to your technique section and just put in the search bar block on point, putting a block on point, and it's going to show you a really great edited video on this. Let me bring it down so you can see. See, these stars just have a plain square in the middle, not an option one, and look at the vividness of this. I mean, it is just gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. Okay, so here's your corner. I'll bring it. Are we out as far as we? Yeah, we go. Okay, so there's our corner here. So see how you're going to put your side triangles on and then sew this on. And then when you trim it up, you just need 1/4 of an inch off of these corners right here. And that's why I love to overcut, because then you don't have to be perfect. So, okay, so let's just do this. If you don't overcut these, you're going to have to find the perfect middle of your perfect star, find the perfect middle of your perfect triangle, match those up, sew a perfect 1/4 of an inch, and then you're going to have perfect 1/4 of an inch seam allowance off of these points. But if you don't like all that perfection, and if perfection doesn't hang out in your sewing room, then you want these overcut. And so those numbers in the book, you know, I don't give you like a 3/8 and all that. I bump it up to a 1/2 or a whole or whatever. So you're going to have an overcut. So there's your corner. And then let's look at our next one. So here's our next one. Nope, that's not our next one. Or does it go like this? Yep, there we go. It is our next one. So see, here's our next one with our 3 blocks and 2 on. And then here is our next one. So see, this is what it looks like before you get those corners on. So now I need to sew that on. I leave this in this, I never sew this together. I never sew this together because this is my sample to teach on point, but I love the colors and the fabric so much, and it's so pretty, and I can just see a little quilting here of little circles and stuff. It makes me want to sew this one up and have it, but yeah, let's see what we got going on here. Okay, so there's our corner for down here.
So does it show oversized cutting in the pattern in the book?
If it, like on the, when I wrote this particular book, I didn't necessarily in the patterns give an overcutting. Anytime I give an overcutting, I always put overcut by it in the directions. So if it doesn't say overcut by it in the directions, then it's not. But on the setting triangles, I knew it wouldn't matter and wouldn't have to explain it and all that. So these right here, well, no, it says like 4, does it say? Yeah, it has 1/8. So if it has an 1/8 on it, I didn't give you an overcut on this. I thought maybe I did, but I didn't. Because this all will say cut 12 1/8. So bump it up to 12 1/2. And really with overcutting, if in doubt, bump it up because it's overcut. You're going to trim it off. Okay, so here's your bottom one here. And then on this one, depending on how many rows you have. So if I'm already on this one, I don't have enough stars to do more. So this one is going to go in here like that. And this one's going to do that. So see, however many rows you have, you just switch it up for what you have. Okay, and there that one is just like that, just that simple. Okay, do we have any questions on what's going to happen the rest of this week, or
Good time to do a screenshot. Someone just did one.
yeah, yeah, that's the cool thing about this too, is that you can do screenshots on this stuff and then you have it where you need it to be, right at your fingertips. And look, this is just Scrappy and organized colors on the outside, just really pretty. Okay, so if you have, I'm going to hang on here just for a moment in case you, and then screenshot this. I'll stand out of your way. You can screenshot this one. Looks so different on point and looks so different with an option 1 in
It
it.
messed me up.
I know. When I was doing this, I could tell that either someone had a question that he was trying to, either someone had a question that Steve was trying to help with, or something was wrong, because I could see him doing like this and looking at the quilt and then looking at something. So I knew something was going on, and I figured it was with that solid square in the middle.
Their screenshot just fell.
Their screenshot just fell. Okay. Well, we can fix that. That's an easy fix. I hung it low so that they could see as much of it as they could. So I'll let you, because you can't see the bottom and the top's always flipped over the top. So I'm going to hold it up like this. You get yourself a screenshot. And then I'll put it back up on the rack. So I'm going to turn it like this now. So now you can see it. Let me get it straight there. There you go. Now you can see it more horizontal. So if you want a screenshot like that. Got it? Okay, any last minute questions? So remember, squareandasquare.net, go and sign up for a Quilt Club week or a premium club. Now on Sunday next week, we will have a live open to the public, and on that Sunday, a week from today on Sunday, I'm going to show you quilts that we've made in our semester classes for the last, I don't know how many years. I think we have 18 semesters or something like that in premium clubs. So 1,000+ hours. I hate to say thousands of hours because I'm not sure there's 2,001, but there could be 4,004 hours.
So you do recommend the side setting squares be oversized?
Yes.
Or overcut?
Yeah. So you know that you can overcut something if it's a solid square or if it's a rectangle. You know, when you see a solid square or a rectangle in a quilt, you should know, okay, hey, I can overcut that. Now, you do get triangle units when you do this, but you're starting out with a square to get it. So that, I don't know how to say that's an exception to the rule, but you on side and corner triangles definitely overcut, because you cannot cut and sew those triangles perfect. You just can't. And not, I mean, you maybe can do 1 or 2, but I mean, even on this little quilt, 3, 6, 9, there's 12 to do. You got to do 12 perfect if you cut them perfect on this. Okay, so squareandasquare.net is the teaching website. You can watch the free webinars. You can sign up for Premium Club and watch. You can sign up for Quilt Club Week and watch. And I love the new search capabilities on there, because we have hundreds and thousands of hours of teaching in there. If you're new to us and you're just getting in there, it's like, oh, I want to see so-and-so. How do I know where it is? So with these search areas in there, it's so much easier to get in there and find the video that you're looking for. And then you can also sign up for your clubs. You can go to squareandasquare.com, order your books, your rulers, your fabrics, your kits. Now also, if you sign up for Premium Club, not Quilt Club Week, but if you sign up for Premium Club, then you can get a discount on your books and rulers for like 10 days or 2 weeks or something like that. And so if you're thinking, I don't have any books and rulers, you know, well, if you sign up for Premium Club, then you're going to get a discount for a short time on that when you sign up, okay? So that's a great way to get a discounted price, get as much of the books and rulers as you can, because we use them all, and as you move forward in the club, you're going to realize you want the 9-patch ruler and you want the grande and all that. So get as much as you can, but if you can't, then get the original ruler and the reference book 1 that I used today. And if you can, add the diamond book to it. Those are, to me, the minimum. And you can, I mean, for 40 years, this is what I do to create all of this, is using the charts and the fabric amounts and all of that in there to do it. And we're just so excited. We want you to come and join in on the fun with us. We're going to have a blast this week. You might make a new friend. And she might just live down the street. You never know. I had a Bible study that I go to, a lady that comes. It's not the church I go to. It's just a Bible study at a different church. And she didn't know me. She knew a little bit about quilting, but she didn't know me. She didn't know my name. We were just all there, you know, in the Bible study, sitting in rows. And then someone said, oh, the group made pillowcases for some group, and I donated some fabric to them. And so she saw the name on there, and someone said, yeah, she comes to our Bible study. And she's like, well, and so she just started connecting dots and connecting dots. And then she went online and looked up some YouTube videos, and she's like, this is the lady that's in my Bible study. So you never know. You know, you may have a square and a square quilting friend that's down the block from you in the same Bible study, whatever.
Here's a quick question.
Okay, Sharon says, would you recommend using the vintage shadows, red and gold, to make the Midnight Orchid quilt? Oh yeah, I can't decide on my colors. Well, let me tell you, she said the vintage shadows, red and gold. So let's look at that. So this is the vintage shadow red floral that we've used here. And this is the gold vine. And then we also have the floral one in the gold. I just think, I mean, all of those go together, whether you like the blue like we have in Trinity. Where'd Trinity go? Right here. Whether you want to use the blues and the golds, the reds and the golds. And then this is the vintage. This one here, I think it would be so pretty. I think this one and the gold vine and the black, or the tobacco. I mean, that tobacco was just like, wow. I think it sold out right away. The tobacco on that one was the big one. And here's that red vintage here on this. And for those of you that are new, that was called the Shadow Vintage, because you'll have to go back and look for when we promoted this fabric. I think it was in May, and I gave you the details on the fabric. It's a hybrid. It's 100% cotton. It's easy to work with, like our cottons. And the dyes are great, like our cottons. And that's another reason why I do fabric, is because I don't want to sew with fabric that's going to run, and my fabric will not. But we got to mix like two of the best worlds. We got to mix a batik and mix a print and take the best of both. And oh my gosh, it was yummy and luscious. So beautiful and easy to work with. All right, any other questions? Okay, we're going to wrap it up today. Thank you so much for joining us. I really want you to come along. You're going to have a blast. You're going to gain knowledge, increase your skills. You're going to be able to make things and learn about things that just add to your toolbox or to your quiver of skills. It's just going to be amazing what you do. And this is kind of my husband, Steve. For those of you that are new, Steve is my husband of 46 years almost. And he is a retired pharmacist. He's now the guru of the technology and the person behind everything so that we can get it to you in your home. And this is what he says. He says quilting never sleeps because it's online 24/7, no matter what time of the day or night or what country or where you live. If you've got a Wi-Fi, you can jump in there and see what we're doing and have fun. And we have students from all over the world. In Premium Club, I'm gonna pull one out because everyone knows Petra, because she's in Germany, and she is like a university student. She makes notes of every video and draws pictures. And that in school, that's how you learn, is by listening to the teacher, writing the notes, and drawing pictures. And she's taken those skills of going to school and applied it to this. And she shows, we have a Facebook page for Premium Club, and she goes in there and shows her notes, and I tell you, they are just as crisp and clean and beautiful. And even though we don't speak German, we know what she's telling us because it's just so clean and neat. So thank you, Petra, for showing us all how to be better students and take better notes. So I'm going to wrap it up now. We'll see you Monday at 11 o'clock.
Monday, yes.
And Tuesday, he looked at me like, and Tuesday at 11 o'clock. And then Wednesday, we're going to have our early bird for Premium Club. Come join in with us and have some fun. We're a fun group. Everybody behaves. All right, bye for now. We'll see you tomorrow.